The world I'm coming. Tuesday, February 9th. Here we go. Here we go. Happy anniversary. Just another day. CJ and the Clapinator 2012. Pressure will build to the cracks.
Everyone's telling me to please just relax. I don't know what everyone has won.
I will fade away to lie and forgotten year after year. Driving on a highway. Holy mother, let's go. What's happening? What is going on, people? How are you? How are you? How are you? I'm sure none of you have probably heard that before. Guys, listen, there are a lot of parts of this podcast that, a lot of parts of this documentary that I got coming out that are, they're very, very, very real. You know, you guys hear me talk about things like my music career. You know, all the stuff that really I haven't spoken about before. You know, things that have mattered to me for a long, long time, and I haven't gotten to extensive details about it. But you know, usually I have a guest on, and it's mainly to, you know, not fill your guys' brain with just me talking. I don't want people to think about this show and be like, oh my god, all Sam does is just talk about himself and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not the case. That's not what's going to happen with this podcast, nor any podcast that I'm a part of. I enjoy being the host of this thing. I enjoy that I've helped mastermind this project, but if I didn't have all you guys helping me out, I would not have a show. It's hard to believe that back around 2010, 11, let's pretend, that I really took seriously this music thing. You know, I never in a million years thought to myself, I want to start a band, I want to start playing music, I want to start doing this or that. It never really crossed my mind. The only thing that I knew when I was young is that I wanted to be involved in music somehow. Whether that meant producing, whether that meant writing, whether that meant performance. You know, all the stuff that never really crossed my mind until those times. I think about how I sort of blossomed out of that. You know, and I blossomed out of it because of the subject that I want to talk about for, you know, just a few minutes of everybody's time. And the subject is integrity. You know, there's a certain standpoint of being where it didn't take a scientist to know that the group of Just Another Day or the group of Soda or, you know, my solo stuff or this podcast meant something. And the message of each of those groups still remains the same. And, you know, obviously they're all different chapters of my life, but you know, there again, it's the same message of having people be a part of this podcast, you know. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate, once again, you know, the format of this show and the people who have supported it since day one. The countries that continuously come back to support. You know, without you guys, I would not have a show. There would be no reason for me to do it, other than the sole fact that I would like to keep memories alive and keep them going. This show is about family. And the family is not necessarily a bloodline. It's not necessarily people who you spend time with day in and day out. It's the ones who make you want to be a better person. And when that happens, when you want to become a better person, you start to, as you grow older, you pick apart the pieces of who you are as an individual. And those parts of you, for better or worse, follow you to where you go. And if you keep those attributes, then people start to realize how you are as a human being, how you develop as a friend, a father, a mentor, whatever it may be. It becomes the DNA. And what I mean by that is that whether you go through life as a billionaire or somebody who has no money, it always helps to keep in mind where you started from and who you always will be. In this documentary, you guys sit there and say, Sam, what are you talking about? What are you even talking about right now? Well, I'm talking about how this whole documentary is going to explain how I've shaped myself as a human being. And, whether it took, 25 years or 0, it wasn't going to be a facetious thing. It happened. I turned into the person that you see on stage. A lot of that side comes out when I get on stage. And what this documentary is going to show, really, is how, whether you make it in a business or not, it's not necessarily about being the most successful or rich or perfect person in the world, because nobody can do that. It's just not possible. But it's about a self-view of success, a self-view of growth, and understanding that it doesn't take $1 million to show somebody your worth. It never did. So, as we go into this kind of thing, and people, you gotta understand, I've never done anything like this before as far as like a podcast. I've never done anything by myself. So just kind of talking to you guys and telling you something, this is new for me. So if I get scrutiny over the internet, I understand. But if people like it, you like it. No, I don't mean to push anything on anybody. I just think it's very interesting to see how there's so many moving parts to this story that don't have anything to do with me, but have everything to do with the circumstances. And by circumstances, I mean shows. By circumstances, I mean experiences in the work world, in the personality world. Things have just changed a great deal. It's not 2010 anymore. We're in 2021, and I never would have imagined that 11 years later I would have ended up on stage and, having a platform to speak about it. There was just not any thought in my mind where I would have started this whole journey and now continued it with you guys even through COVID. It's fantastic to think about, This is probably 90, 98, 99. I had just started preschool. And I already, even at such a young age, I knew I did not want to be any part of what was going on in school. It just wasn't my world. You know, already I knew I wanted to be out of there as soon as possible. And it didn't take a genius to figure that out. Because most of the people, they don't want to spend any more time in school than they have to either. So, you know, getting out was awesome. You know, finally being able to branch out and start to discover myself in different ways was key. But what I learned through the experiences of school and through the experiences of working during school and having that responsibility sort of thrust upon me just because of my living circumstances, just because of, you know, what I had to deal with as a youth, I'm never more thankful for that. Because it taught me how to really take on this business. This business of, you know, getting in front of a microphone and having a certain amount of confidence, having a certain amount of, you know, speaking ability, how not to be afraid of what people think of you, and just putting everything out on the line, you know. It taught me to be brave, even at moments where I never could feel more cowardice. And even to this day, that has happened. But you live and you learn. And that's what this whole project is about. This whole podcast, this whole documentary, all these new songs that I got coming out, which, you know, I'm hoping that we can get cracking on this doc soon, as I spoke about in one of the previous podcasts. I'm hoping that it's soon. Because I gotta tell you guys, as a man to you guys, to the community, it's been tough. It's been really tough to, you know, sort of, you know, isolate to a certain degree and you know, only spend time with a handful of people. You know, you can't go through life with no human contact. I don't care if you're Bin Laden and you're going to the firework festival. You know, it's not healthy. It's not healthy to just sit inside. You know, sit inside and sort of not have any human contact. We need that human contact. We need that positivity, which is a huge part of this show. You know, I suffer from a certain amount of anxiety and depression, as does any person. And so to get behind this microphone and tell you that, after all these years of sort of being afraid of it, it feels good to really lay everything out on the line again and let you guys know that you don't need to be afraid. You don't need to care about what people think about you. And I know you're sitting there saying, yeah, we can make fun of it. We can make fun of it because we think it's funny. Yeah, I think it's funny too, and I make fun of it all the time. But at that same token, or by that same token, I should say, it's very easy to poke fun at something that you don't understand. And I didn't quite understand it either until these experiences happened to me. So, you know, like I said, guys, if we're going through this whole virus thing and it's beating us down, but we don't have to stay down if we don't want to. There's always a point in, you know, somebody's life where they say, I've had enough. And I hope you guys continue to keep punching. You know, I hope that you continue to put positivity in front of you. You know, we're going on almost a year that this thing has been a lethal part of our existence. We've never seen anything like this before. But that doesn't mean we need to let it defeat us. As much as, or as hard as it is to believe, really, there is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know it yet. But continue to prosper. Continue to grow. Continue to find things that attribute to your greatness. This podcast is about integrity because we want to keep ourselves honest through everything that's been happening. Through the pandemic, through struggles of this year. I'm not gonna lie, I've lost a lot of people in the last 5 years. I miss my grandmother terribly. We were best friends. And while you have the time, it's like it's like Corey tells me, take this opportunity to really study yourself and really learn while you have that sort of opportunity to not be distracted. So, I hope this didn't get too serious for anybody. I'm not trying to be serious. I just think it's interesting to sort of think on ourselves and and also others. Give somebody a call. Shoot somebody a text message. Send somebody a letter or a card or an email or whatever form of communication that you got. Just let them know that you're thinking about them. Let them know that even though all this stuff is happening, you haven't gone anywhere. It helps. It really, really does. Like I said, a lot of things we have to look forward to. There's a lot of things. So, I'm hoping that we can get started filming again on this documentary. It's been a long process in my head, but I never thought that we would have the opportunity / technology to put it together. I'm very thankful for this time, honestly, even though it's triggered me greatly and I had to cancel a lot of stuff. I gotta look at it this way. I probably never would have kept this podcast going. Things would have gotten in the way. I never would have sat down and started writing music again. I never would have done a lot of things. Because it's very easy to get caught in the spiral of negativity. So, I'm hoping that we can get this project done. And I'm hoping it could be maybe by the end of the year. Who knows? But like I said, I'm excited to show you guys that part of my life. I haven't really talked about it to a lot of people. Not a lot of people know this story. And even the people that do know the story, there are still some holes in it that maybe they have no idea of how it affected certain aspects of this career, so to speak. So, keep up the good work, everybody. I sound like a teacher. You get an A. No, keep positive. Keep your eyes open. And keep your head up. That's the main thing. As I said from the beginning, I can't thank you all enough for supporting this show. I got some big, big things coming up just for the podcast. I got guests coming on from left and right that I did not expect to even come close to this show. Just as a spoiler, I have a beer tasting in either a week or two, something like that. But live over Zoom. And, of course, it's going to be on my YouTube channel. Capital T, lowercase H-E, capital C, lowercase a, L-A, P-P-A-N-A-T-E-R, the Clapinator. I think I spelled that right. There's so many letters in my YouTube name. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be fantastic, and I will introduce the company that I'm interviewing on that day. Otherwise, the only thing I can say is thank you. You know, as I said 1,000 times, and I'm ranting at this point, but hopefully you guys can, if you like the show enough, give it a rate, give it a review. You know, if you hate it, give it a 0. If you love it, give it a 5. If you want to say something positive, write it. If you want to say something negative, I guess you could write that too. But it just helps the show. You know, it helps the people who are able to get myself sponsors. You know, a better idea of what we're about, and you know, it's helpful for me also if I can change my show as far as, you know, getting into different areas and attributing that to your guys' comments, you know. So hopefully that happens soon. I'm excited to share some new stuff with you guys. I'm excited to share some new music, and I'm excited to continue rocking and rolling this year. You know, season 4. Who would have thought? We're still here. But, alright. I love you guys. You're the greatest. And, keep on listening.